the most underrated component of it all is food item selection. I'm a very big believer, I shouldn't even say a believer. Thermodynamics is a non-negotiable. We're all familiar with Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, despite his best efforts, is of course not able to disprove thermodynamics. Calories in versus calories out, whether you want it to exist or not, totally exist. I'm a firm believer in that. Any foods that you can eat, so long as they fit within the macros and the calories that you need to get the results that you want, are going to elicit that result. However, stuff on the back end can be affected to where your energy calorie output is diminished. And that's where people are missing the boat. Food items that are actually implemented in your plan can have a big impact on that. So I'm definitely not one to say just eat as much processed food as you want and expect to get the best results possible, even if, as long as they fit within your calories. I'm definitely not saying that, because if you're doing that, satiety is going to be really high. And if that's the case, cortisol is probably going to be really high. Inflammation is probably going to be really high. Recovery is probably going to be impaired due to that inflammation. Sleep quality is probably going to be impaired due to that elevated stress. Sleep quality is impaired, recovery is impaired. So there's all these little back end issues that start happening if you're not selective with the food, the actual specific foods that you're eating. So while I'm a big believer, which feels so hilarious to even say out loud, a big believer in thermodynamics, calories in versus calories out, the actual food items that you're consuming matter a lot, which is why those are taken heavily into consideration working with clients, because your energy output can be radically affected by it. And the way you feel, just the way you feel in general. Satiety is one of the biggest ones. Like, that's probably the two things that you hear people complain about most when it comes to nutrition: variety, satiety. Variety meaning, if I'm just eating chicken, broccoli, and rice every day, I have no motivation to do this. This is miserable. I can only sustain this for a brief period of time before I want to go crazy. You're just waiting for your coach to give you a cheat meal, and you celebrate that cheat meal like it's the best day of your life. Okay. And then the same thing with satiety. If you're in a really deep calorie deficit, or maybe not even that deep of a calorie deficit, but utilizing foods that are very low volume, you're going to be fucking starving all the time. And does that have like a super big impact on the actual outcome? Not necessarily, if you're able to like fight through it. But if you're that hungry all the time, your cortisol is going to increase over time. And if your cortisol is increased over time, you're going to have trouble sleeping. And so all these other issues start to arise. So the food items that you're consuming need to be taken heavily into consideration too. And it's not always as obvious as people think. If you're having digestive stress, it might not just be more fiber. Even if it is, what is it? More soluble fiber, or is it more insoluble fiber? Do we even know which is which? You know what I'm saying? So that's where, like, this coaching thing, man, it's just everybody wants to do it because it's a cool job. You work for yourself. If you're good enough at marketing, you can make a lot of money doing it. But it's not an easy job. 99% of people doing it are not really very qualified to do it. You know, and that's another thing. Not that I really like to talk too much about pricing and money or whatever, but like, there are people who sometimes see my prices and think, wow, that's a lot. That's more than I was expecting. That's a lot of money. Holy shit. And it's like, right. But compared to what? And if the answer is one of these chicken, broccoli, rice repeat coaches, then yeah, of course I charge more. They don't know what they're doing. Like, I'm solving 50 problems for you. They're attempting to solve one, and they're giving it to you in the packaged in the most difficult way possible for you to even solve that one. I'm going to help you solve that one really easily, and I'm going to solve like 50 other problems in the process. As a matter of fact, me solving those 50 problems on the back end are probably going to make that one that you're really focused on a lot easier to achieve. Right? And again, when I say don't let the word easy mislead you, it's hard work. It's just efficiently hard work. It's hard work where the hard work should be, and easy where the easy should be.